Ellis Cinema back, another dish. How we doing out there? Good, great, grand, and wonderful. Let's hit the ground running on this one. As you see on your dial, Undercover Punch and Gun, a.k.a. Undercover versus Undercover, and hopefully I get made fun of here. Also, Wohu Chen Long? Wohu Chen Long, maybe? No? All right. It's a Well Go release that's actually a Hiya original that's you can stream on the app Hiya right now. I think it's only like $2.99 a month to get that subscription, so no excuses. If you're not into the whole streaming thing, Undercover Punch and Gun gets the physical Blu-ray release on June 8th. So, you know, we don't do spoilers here on the show, but undercover police Wu teams up with an unlikely ally in order to fight a major drug dealer to take down a drug smuggling ring. Sounds like something you may have seen before, right? Have you seen it with Philip Andy and, well, the guy who's not here because he's on his Oculus somewhere in L.A., just chilling? So I get this email the other day. I get an email. It says, would you be interested in doing an interview for Undercover Punch and Gun? And I was like, well, of course I would. Of course I would. Any chance I can get to interview to talk about a action film from the East, I'm going to do it. And that's all the email said. And I just, I responded back, of course I will. And then they told me who I was going to be talking to, and I started to get the shakes. A little bit, like, oh my gosh, these guys you have been a fan of for almost 20 years, like going back to one Fatal Contact, Black Mass 2, like we're going way back, almost 20 years. So joining the Ellis Cinema podcast for the first time, Philip and Andy Un. How are we doing today, fellas? All the way from Hong Kong. One's in the Hollywood Hills, one's in the Chicago side. How are we doing today, gentlemen?
Doing great. How you doing?
I am doing well. Well, the sun's down here. The sun is down here. Andy, yourself?
I am doing great. Thank you for inviting us on the show.
I'm excited. We had a good talk earlier before the show started, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. We just kind of we roasted Van for a little bit. We roasted.
Yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know what he's doing either, but and that's all right. We can roll with it. And then if he comes on later, I mean, we just gotta both barrels. We just gotta unleash on him. Yeah. So before we get into Undercover Punch and Gun, Well Go USA release, you guys have actually all worked together before. Many years ago on several things, but the one that I saw all three of you, Dragon Squad, right?
Actually, there's a movie before that. How we all met was on a movie called Star Runner. I don't know if you heard of that movie. It starred Vanessa Wu and Andy On, and it was a first for a lot of us. It was I think it was the first time that that Vanessa was the lead for a big movie. He just got really. He blew up from Meteor Garden.
Hey, Phil, are you ready to roast? Oh,
is he on?
Yeah, he's coming. He's coming.
Hey, what are you doing?
He's coming. Where's he at? I don't see him.
In LA.
Oh, there he is. Oh, it's so early for Van right now. It is so early.
Not really.
What is it? Was it like?
Why were you late? 18 minutes, man. We're just curious.
I all of a sudden came home and was grabbing dinner with my dad, and then I realized
Oculus came on.
No,
the Oculus was calling.
Yeah, I realized. Wait, there's something I need to do today.
I looked for you. I'm like, where's Van?
Yeah.
Well, we actually, Van. So I'm Sean. I'm the host of this dumb podcast. We were just talking that you guys all worked with each other before on Star Runner, right? That's what it was called,
right.
Star Runner.
Right, Star Runner.
So
which actually is one. It was the first movie that I did and Philip did, and which I think was pretty cool. Yeah.
It was a first for a lot. There was a big first for everybody. I mean, especially for Andy. It was the first time he won a newcomer award. In the Hong Kong, the Hong Kong Oscars. I guess you only won that once.
Where is Andy?
He won that. Andy's right there. You gotta swipe your phone to the side.
Oh, there he is.
I'm here.
What up, man? Thanks for reminding me, Andy.
I texted him.
Oh my God, you forgot. Jeez.
It's not that I
son of a
forgot.
gun.
I went
No, but
shooting.
how would?
I went to the
okay.
range today, and that kind of just like scrambled everything. Yeah.
It's all right, man. I mean, it's only promotions for our movie. It's cool.
No. And plus, I wanted you to have more introduction time,
That's
because
exactly how that should be going.
That's why
guess who was? I guess this. It would be Andy on
I was
first.
being thoughtful, Phil.
I know. Anyway, so the first time we met was on a movie called Star Runner. Vanessa just blew up from this TV show called Meteor Garden, and it was in this boy band, the first boy band ever in the whole world.
F4.
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 I was a big fan. Actually, I didn't know who he was, but I was one of the. It was my first gig as an assistant choreographer, and it was kind of a first for everybody. And then I didn't know any of the etiquettes on set. I didn't know anything. So, but one thing I did know though, I had a good chance to meet these two guys because I spoke English and I was in charge of training these people. Andy didn't really need training, but I kind of pretended to train him for a little bit. And Vanessa needed to look like a Wing Chun master and a Hong Kong master. So basically, I hung out with him every day. And a kickboxer. And I hung out with him every day. And then, I went to his hotel, ate all his food, and swam in his pool. The director came and caught us messing around instead of training. There's a lot of funny stories.
So now you guys all join forces again with Undercover Punch and Gun, Undercover versus Undercover. So I guess we can just go down the line here. We can start with Andy. I'm gonna make you start. How did you become involved in the project? We'll start there, and we'll just kind of do a round robin.
How did I get involved?
Why are you laughing, man?
Because go ahead, Andy. I'll say it. Right. Andy, go ahead.
Oh, you gonna say it?
No. You go ahead. How'd you get involved?
Phil called me or messaged me or what?
I didn't even talk about this movie for like 20 years, right?
Phil, yeah, when we did Star Runner, maybe in the future we can do a movie together, and it took like 15 years to happen, but whatever, it happened, and it was great. And then, when he told us he was producing this movie, and we just basically just all like, all right, we're going. That's it.
And what about you, Phil? Like, was this?
I want to hear Van.
Okay.
I want to see why he's laughing.
No, I mean, it was I just thought it was amusing when asked the question, how do we get involved? And it's pretty much like there was no hesitation, and there was no like second guessing. It's like Phil's like, hey, I got this movie, and it's you and Andy. You guys want to do it? It was like, yeah, let's do it. There wasn't like an afterthought. I just thought it was, it's quite funny. I don't know.
Well, I mean, look, the question's stupid, but like sometimes you get people that are like, "Hey, he was my friend. That's why I did it. I didn't even read the script. He was just my friend, and I was going to do it."
We didn't have a script.
Yeah, so that was also the cool thing about the whole film was like we were able to create whatever we want. He's like, do whatever you want. Like, however we want this character. My character is this. So what do you want? And then we pretty much had the freedom to kind of just mess around and experiment and kind of do whatever we wanted. I was like, Phil, I want to do a knife fight. He's like, okay. And then whatever, right? I was like, I want to use a butterfly knife. He's like, can you use one? Like, yeah, I've done it before. And he's like, all right. And then go ahead. And then so I had to practice that because I wanted to use it. So, but yeah, I mean, it was a lot of freedom. And I think at the end of the day, it was just because, we're all buds and, got each other's back kind of.
Perfect.
I'm tearing up, actually. I thought you were going to rip on me. But that was great. No, I mean, like, these are my brothers. These guys are my family, right? Because, like, in this business and in any business or anything, it's very rare that you find somebody that you can completely trust and you've known from the beginning of your career. And these are the two guys that are like that. I mean, we're like godfathers to this guy's children, So, like, if Vanessa says, like, I'm producing a movie, Phil, come in and do it. We didn't ask. And if Andy says, look, I got something you guys can help me with, and, we just do it. So that's how we are,
So when did you guys all said yes and there was no script. When does the script come into play throughout the 15 years? When does the script happen?
Well, basically we just, we're like, how do you say this? Like we knew what we wanted. We wanted like some kind of homage to the 80s and 90s. You know, we wanted that because those are the movies that we always talk about. Those are the movies that kind of influenced us because it was our generation. You know, Jackie Chan, you know, the Donnie Yen, that whole era. So we wanted to do something as an homage to that. We knew that, but then like the producing a product, especially back then, for me was very difficult. It was like an uphill struggle. So we went through a bunch of different stories, a bunch of different potential directors, and so forth. But later on, at the end, we landed with Loy Gun Lam, Philip Loy, and Frankie Tam, two directors on the project. And they're also before they've been. This is the first time they've been directing, but they're very prolific script writers. I'm sure you've heard of them. A lot of the movies that are playing in Asia right now are written by either them, one of them. So they were the ones in charge of creating the story for us.
Yeah, a lot of big budget stuff they have. I saw you mentioned producers there, so I kind of noticed, and I'm seeing this more often in films coming from the East. You guys have a shitload of producers that do like production companies, people that are producing it, and it's kind of foreign to me because you know in the West you may see 1, 2, at best 3, and I think I lost count at like 13 on this particular film in terms of production companies. So is that kind of hard when you have everybody else's money involved, or is everybody just like, hey, look, it's you 3, we just tell us when it's done? Or does that
it's difficult because I mean, like, my resume wasn't as thick back then, you know. The person that really I had to depend on was Vanessa and Andy for their markets, right? And then so I mean, it wasn't easy. It was always an uphill struggle. There's really two ways to kind of produce a movie. I mean, I think everywhere, right? There's you have independent financing, which is what we kind of did, and that's why there's so many production companies, because everyone put in $2, right? So everyone's the boss. So I mean, there's another way to do it is, you know, if a distribution or a studio picks it up and then you work for them. But we went the other route because, you know, I don't think the idea that we had and the stuff that we wanted to do it didn't sound studio friendly at the time, you know. And then that's why I had to thank the 2 other producers that helped out, Charlie Wong and Gordon Chan, because like without them I couldn't get the financing. It was basically for them. What I did was I gathered my buddies and I gathered the crew. And then I created what I want to create in terms of like the action. But in terms of financing, I really depended on them. But for that kind of project, they needed to get independent financing. That's why there's so many credits in the credit.
Yeah, and I sometimes when you watch films like that, you can definitely see that the product struggles a little bit. Definitely not here, but I can think of a few films in the past couple years where you're just like, oh man, like I can only imagine, you know, the boardroom, people just arguing, no, we're gonna do this because that's my portion of, you know, I'm the one putting $1 million into this, so on and so forth, and I'll just be straightforward with you. You know, this is a no horseshit podcast. When I saw all of the production companies, I went, oh no, fellas, what's going to happen here? And blown away. In fact, I thought the execution of the product was it took me off guard because I didn't really know how I was going to receive it. Like I said in the beginning, so I absolutely loved the film, boys. Absolutely loved it.
Thank you.
So I guess in preparing for your guys' role, because I think sometimes you talk about an homage to 80s films. Sometimes I think characters can't, or even now, characters can kind of blend together in terms of there's not a whole lot of spectrum covered in terms of their character. But I thought Andy was unique in his own way.